And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at a game called Bremerhaven. Now this box may look familiar to you. This game is from Lookout Games, and that is because this box has a remarkable similarity to Le Havre in the way they look. And that's because they both use the theme of shipping. And Le Havre, you're shipping and doing things with goods. Bremerhaven takes a look at those guys on the docks who take the goods, store the goods, and then send them out on their merry way. The games are not by the same designer. They really have nothing in common other than their theme and the fact that they're both fairly in-depth Euro games. Let's take a look at how Bremerhaven plays, and we'll be back. Let's start by looking at a player's board. Each player has a board here, and on this board you've spots where ships are going to come in and sail and land. There's 3 harbors for your ships. Each harbor, though, each ship has a certain number of bollards on it, and you must have that many bollards on the harbor on both sides. So you start with 1 on both sides, and as the game progresses, you can build more of them so that your ships can land in other harbors, and eventually, as the game progresses, ships will need 2 or 3 on each side to move in. Once ships come in, ships are going to be bringing cargo. For example, this one here brings 2 crates, and you'll be able to unload that cargo and put it on the different spots here on the board. Now, it is kind of weird that they have these green and brown, we have crates and containers. 2 crates can be turned into a container and vice versa. It's kind of odd that they didn't actually make these cubes. As much as I'm opposed to cubes, here cubes would have made sense. You also have people, and then you have barrels. The people actually are all different looking, which is kind of nice. Over here you'll keep track of your fame. You can keep track of it with this little marker or with a clip. The clip sounds like it's a better idea, but you have to pick the board up, so it's really a terrible idea. And then you have this lighthouse. Everybody knows that you're yellow. And then you have a set of cards. Bidding cards. You'll start with a set of bidding cards that are numbered 1 through 5, but you have all the way up to 9 bidding cards that you will be able to purchase later on in the game. You have spots where you can put things here on this board, but 6 of them are covered up, and as the game progresses, you'll have to pay the amount there to make them go away, so that you have more spots to place things. These goods you're bringing on here because trucks are going to be showing up, or different vehicles, like this bus here has a contract where I'm going to give them 2 people. These trucks are going to back up and load up on these spots here, and I will need to be able to load that amount on them. Somewhere on the table you're going to place these boards. These boards are places where you're going to be basically bidding on different items. You can see that underneath each of them there's a spot to place the bidding cards, and these are done in a specific order. Everyone is going to in turn order. In turn order, you can see is set over here. In turn order, they're going to take one of their 5 bidding cards and they're going to place it face down somewhere. Other people can place bidding cards on the same spot, and you can place more than 1 on the same spot. Now, for these bottom 2, it's pretty easy. Whoever wins the bid on each of them is going to have that ship come to their personal board or have that contract come to their personal board. And at the end of a round, the one that's the farthest over is discarded and they're moved over and new ones are brought out. And the decks are set up so that there's 1s, 2s, 3, and 4. So as time goes by, the contracts become more valuable, etc. At the top up here, there's a couple things. Here, whatever bidding card you put there, you get a coin for. So this is kind of a desperate thing. I need money, don't know what else to do my bidding card. I get 1 coin. Here, the highest bidder is going to win this building. This building is going to be placed into a person's personal board in one of the spots, which means they won't be able to put anything else in that spot, but it might do different things. For example, this every turn is going to produce a crate for you. This building here is worth it doesn't do anything, but it's worth 3 status. Here's a factory, which is going to be worth status at the end of the game in different ways. Here's a buttery where I can store a whole lot of different goods. So there's different buildings that will be available, and the highest bidder there gets it. Skipping these 2 over here, the different goods are worth different amounts of money. The highest bidder here will be able to look through this deck. In this deck, there's every combination. 1 is 4, 1's 3, 1's 2, and 1's 1. So let's say I wanted to use this one, where I want to make the browns the highest value and the containers the lowest value, and I'd put that on top. If no one goes there, then we take the one on top, put it on the bottom, and the prices will just change to whatever that is. And then if you go over to the spot next to it, you adjust turn order by switching any two people who are next to each other. So I could do this perhaps, and then everybody will get money equal to whatever position they are in. Now these two in the middle are pretty important spots, and these two in the middle, anybody can do different amounts there. Multiple people can win the bids. The first one is the building phase. So let's say I put a 4 and yellow puts a 3 down there. Well, the higher bidder gets to build something at no cost. The yellow bidder can build something at no cost. Well, not no cost, but they have to pay the difference between their bid and the green player's bid, which in this case is 1. So you can see that let's say green put out 4 and yellow put out 8. Green would have to pay 4. Also, players can do multiple build actions for the cost of the highest bid. Build actions are clearing something off your personal board. They are taking a building that you've gotten and actually putting it on your board. You can't put it on your board till you've taken a build action, or adding a bollard to your board. Over here, it's done the exact same way, except each person here will get rid of their lowest value card at the beginning of the game. It's a 1, and then take the lowest value card that they haven't yet added to their hand. So you get a second 5. And then the next time you did it, you get rid of your 2 and add a 6. Then you get rid of a 3 and add another 6. Then you get rid of your 4 and add a 7. Then you get rid of a 5 and add an 8. Then you get rid of your other 5 and add a 9, etc. After all the players have taken all the actions with bidding, they'll get their bidding cards back. And then players get some personal actions. If they have buildings that produce goods, they'll produce goods. They then can move things off their ships onto free spots here on the board, and they can move things from spots on the board onto the different contracts that they have, as long as things match up. You can't go right from a ship to a contract. Now you'll notice these contracts here and the ships, when you place them down, they have a time thing at the top, and this will show you that there are 2 time symbols. At the end of a player's action turn, they're going to take 1 time symbol off everything. When the last time symbol goes, the ship goes away. So a ship with a lot of time symbols is going to sit there in your dock for a while before it leaves. Same thing with these contracts. Also, contracts have other things. This contract here, for example, says I need 1 container. So I get a container on it, but I have to wait till 5 of these clocks are removed before this contract will ship. When that happens, I will get the current price of whatever a container is worth in money value. If I don't complete it before 5 time limits are up, you'll notice that I will lose $2 for failing to complete the contract. So you have to be careful when taking a contract. You know, this contract here, I only have 3 time units to get this contract done, but if I don't, I'm going to lose $4. But if I do complete the contract completely, I will get $1. Sometimes contracts make you lose or gain points, whether you finish them or not. Also on a player's turn, they're going to total up all the ships they have currently in dock and their buildings, the stars on them. So here I have 4, 7, 9. So this would move up to 9 over here, my prestige. Your prestige will never go down, but if on a future turn, let's say it was higher than 9, I would move it up. At the end of a round, we will look at an event thing here, which looks like it's using leftover stuff from other board games, this little book thing. You first look here and you see how far the round marker moves. We have a round marker over here at the top of the board, which will keep track of how much time is left in the game. And then once you've moved the round marker, you will flip the card over, and then next turn, this event on the event card will take place. So the next time we go, I'll move the round marker 1, and then the mutiny happens. Then we flipped it over. So you have 1 turn to see what kind of event are going to come. There's all sorts of events, taxes, spoiled goods, flea markets, etc. When the game ends, you are going to take your current prestige, multiply that by the amount of money you have, and whoever has the most points there is the winner of the game. All right, so that's how the game works, and it's really there's a lot going on. First of all, it's almost funny on how high the scores can get. It'll be like 650 to 555, and this guy has 800 points, because the scores will be really wild since you're multiplying things. It's really going to be a hard game to grok when you first get it, because you're trying to figure out, okay, prestige points, get things and ship them. It's your typical get things and ship them, but there's a couple unique things about the game. One is the time. You don't think that's that big of a deal, but it really is. Whenever you do anything, when you take any ship, whenever you take any contract, you look at how much time do I have to complete that, or, especially if it takes a long time, it's going to sit there and hog up your space. And if the ship comes in, oh, that's great, it gives me some goods, but how long is it going to sit there before it gets out of there? You want your ships to come in and get out. At the same time, you also are looking at the ship's the prestige value, because you want to get that prestige high because you want your multiplier to go up. See, what's interesting about this game is there are many times you have a chance to spend money in this game, but every time you spend money, you are losing that many points. Just look at your current prestige and realize, I spent $3, my current prestige is 6, I just gave away 18 points. Is that worth it? And that's really hard for anyone to calculate. Where this game is going to have extremely sharply divided thoughts are on the bidding. See, this is essentially blind bidding. You have 5 bids, you place them face down, you don't know what other people bid, but you kind of have a guess. I actually think I like this kind of blind bidding better. There's another game that does this called Aladdin's Dragons, which I think does it very well. This one is pretty good for the most part. You can see people fight. The problem is on those 2 action spaces in the middle. Both those spaces are absolutely critical. The building space you have to do. If you're going to get your buildings in, if you're going to build those bollards, which you definitely need to get the ships in, or you're going to clear your area out so that you can put more things down. You definitely need to do those. And one person can really up that bid extremely high and make everybody else pay lots of money to use it, and essentially just jerk out the game. I don't know how else to say it. You kind of be a jerk. I'm not saying it's a bad move to do. It's actually smart, but I just can't imagine the bids for these being that low. The bids get pretty high. And then on the other one, you want to get higher bids for this very reason. You want higher bids than everybody else. And think of these cards as you play them. It's almost like a worker placement game. So you want the better workers, the higher numbers. Well, shouldn't everybody do that? So one guy goes there and he gets a higher one, and at that point he has an advantage, and he can go there and force other people to pay. So it's an interesting balance. And I'm not saying it's bad, but I know a lot of people will hate that. I mean, just absolutely, because it can feel very mean, this game, as a Euro game. For me, on a personal level, I like it, but not love it. I just kind of am ambivalent. I think it looks cool, has a great look. I like all the different things going on. I like the blind bidding, although I'm not a big fan of how one person can, sometimes the bidding war can happen and it hurts other people in between. The scoring, I think, is a little wonky. Things I do like, I like the event cards. I like how you have a turn before you see what the event cards are. I like the time mechanism is a pretty cool one. You're constantly looking around and seeing what you're going to do next as the time comes by. And it seems like it has a good deal of replayability. Also, I like how the captain, who goes first and gets $4 when that happens, it's not always good to go first. In fact, very rarely good to go first. But still, $4 when... So anyway, lots of decisions, a lot of interesting things. Is it in the same category as Le Havre? Not even close. And is it going to divide people? Quite a bit. There's going to be a lot of people who don't like this. So this is definitely one that I would say, really, you should try it before you buy it. But as gameplay goes, certainly very interesting and felt unique. Bremerhaven.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door.
There.